welcome back. This is a three-part series, I guess, of my story of how I found my life purpose. Last week's video was on my childhood in Taipei, what that was like, how I spent summers in LA with my cousins, as well as a little tour around my old neighborhood. So I ended off end of 3rd grade. This week's video would be continuing on from that, 4th and 5th grade in Los Angeles, middle school, as well as the beginning of high school, so freshman and sophomore year of high school. The video next week will be from end of high school to present. So this week's video, imperative developmental years. So how did my mom and my brother and I end up back in the States? Like I said in last week's video, it was a part of my parents' grand master plan to send us to Taiwan for a few years so that we can learn Chinese and then eventually move back to the States. The timeline, I think, was expedited a little. So what happened that summer after 3rd grade, before 4th grade, we came back to the States as usual, went to summer school, hung out with my cousins. It was awesome, it was a blast. The night before we were supposed to fly back to Taiwan, I remember throwing a little fit. It wasn't even outrageous, it wasn't even a big hissy fit, it was just, Mom, I don't want to go back to Taiwan! And she ended up calling my dad. They talked on the phone for about 2 hours, and after the phone call, she told my brother and I, hey, we're gonna stay here. So that's just kind of happened, and I think that is a really good example of how my life was like growing up. It was a lot of, hey, this is gonna happen now and you're just gonna go along with the ride. And that might have I might have made that sound kind of like a bad thing, but I think it was actually a really good thing. It really taught me from an early age, from moving around all the time, from inevitable variables of moving and changing and making new friends, that I became a lot more adaptable and flexible and accepting of change and situations and other people, because I knew how hard it is to move to a new school or to move to a new area and make new friends and all of that stuff you had to deal with as a kid who moved around a lot. It taught me from an early age how to really embrace change and how to not fight the inevitable and instead just go along the ride with a good attitude for what it is and make the best with what you can where you are. So that's how we ended up in LA. One of the hardest parts about growing up to me, and I feel like most people feel the same way or can relate if you have a soul and if you are human, it is making friends, trying to fit in, and finding a sense of belonging. So to start, 4th and 5th grade in Highland Oaks Elementary School. When I think of 4th and 5th grade, I think of me wearing really baggy Roxy t-shirts or just anything from PacSun, the limited to zip-off cargo pants in bright pastel colors, and wearing Skechers or rolly heels. Heelys. During this time, there was a lot of me being a fob. There's a lot of me making new friends and succeeding and failing because I did this one thing where I shouldn't have done. When I was in 4th grade, I'm walking to my classroom right now, we would hang our backpacks outside of our classroom every single day. Right here. This is my old classroom. Hang backpacks outside. Because I was a big fob, I had to take ESL classes, English something learning, and I would leave class every day to go to another classroom to learn ESL. Every time I would leave or come back, this is another really bad thing that I used to do, a really bad habit that I kept continuing to have even as I got older, even though it was with different things. I would steal kids' lunches. I would steal their Lunchables, their snacks and goldfishes, chips and candy, because I don't even know why. I could have just asked my mom to get them, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I thought I could get away with anything when I was younger. I have no idea. One day, a kid named Cameron caught me because he was going to the bathroom and saw me rummaging through backpacks. Oh, Ro, little Ro, why? So when my girlfriends found out, one of them was like, I knew there was something wrong about her. We should not hang out with her. So I lost all of my girlfriends. This isn't the first time I lost my girlfriends. I'll get to that in high school again. Middle school. My middle school. When I think of myself in middle school, I think of Hollister and Abercrombie t-shirts, skin-tight jeans, like really, really tight emo jeans, and baby fat shoes. I was on the drill team, I did flags, and I was also on drama productions, and I was in the orchestra. I played the violin. All three things I quit and stopped pursuing. So in middle school, there was a lot of trying to fit in, trying to find my voice, trying to find myself, trying to discover who I am and who I want to become. And there was a lot of, how do I dress a certain way or talk a certain way or act a certain way so that I could hang out with the popular kids and be in the popular crowd. And I don't like saying popular because I feel like now that I'm older and now that I've been through it all, I know how empty and how meaningless it all is. That was kind of my middle school career. Ever since I was young, I do this thing where if I really care about someone, I really care about them, to the point where in 8th grade, I actually got shingles, I think from stress. I have no idea what I could have possibly been so stressed over in 8th grade, but I got shingles. Probably from drama that I wasn't involved in, but drama with related friends. Beginning of high school. So for most of my life, I think because I moved around so much and because I had so many different groups of friends and I kept having to make new friends throughout the years, one thing that I longed for was just a sense of belonging within a group of friends that was consistent. I wanted to find my people, my group of people who I just knew would be there for me forever. And I finally found that around 7th and 8th grade, which moved into the beginning of high school. And these were my best girlfriend. Sometime sophomore year of high school, I started hanging out with my brother's friends who were 2 years older. So they're seniors. This is second semester. Knowing how senior semester seniors are, because they've already done with college apps, because they've already applied to colleges, they're checked out. They're drinking every other day. They're staying out every other night. And that's what I started doing as a sophomore in high school. So as a sophomore, I was already living kind of like a senior, where I had the mentality of a senior. I was already checked out of high school as a sophomore, and that was pretty awesome, but also pretty bad. So I had a really early start with festivities and doing the things that kids do nowadays. And so one day, my girlfriends, they pretty much sat me down for an intervention. They told me, Rowena, you're hanging out with other people who aren't us, and we don't agree with a lot of things that you're doing with them, which is drinking and going to music festivals like EDC. Looking back, I was really young. I was like 15 or 16 when I first went to EDC. That's kind of crazy. So they sat me down. They're like, hey, sorry, we're not going to be friends with you anymore. And because I was young and we all were young at that time, I was like, you know what? If you guys don't want to be friends with me, fine. I don't want to be friends with you either. Looking back, definitely shouldn't have done that. Could have handled the situation a lot better, but that's kind of what happened. So for the rest of sophomore year, I had a blast. I had the most fun I've ever had in my entire life at that point, because I don't know, it was my first time drinking. It was my first time trying these things that I've never tried before. So that was awesome at that time. It was so fun. But when all of my friends graduated, as I became a junior, things started going downhill. If you think of that scene in Mean Girls where Katie goes to eat in the bathroom stall by herself, that was kind of the rest of my high school career, which I will get to next week. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Thank you for spending your morning, afternoon, night / day / time with me. I will see you guys next week.